Welcome back to a brand new episode of Talk Dead to Me, the only Walking Dead podcast with the guts to start at Season 10. I am your host, Johnny Odell, the social media manager for The Walking Dead. With me, as always, are Alexandra August and Woody Tundorf. Guys, how are you doing?
Spectacular.
I'm fully actualized. I'm living my best life.
That's great. So, Woody, what do we have going on this week?
For once, Johnny, I'll answer you. We're going to go over it. We've reached the mid-season finale. It gave me everything that I wanted in my life. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Horde strike team. We're going to talk about this new character, Virgil. And then, you know what? Let's play some games. Let's play a little, how do we feel about Shipwatch?
Oh, I love Shipwatch.
Excellent. We're going to play some Shipwatch. How do we feel about some shot takes?
Ooh, been a long time.
I can feel the hangover coming. I cannot wait.
Another round of shot takes. And how do we feel about voicemails?
My favorite.
Agreed.
I love voicemails. You know what else I love other than voicemails? Text mails. I love when people send us texts.
Did we get one of those?
We did get one. We did. That's our first ever. So you get to hear me reading, and you can imagine what this person sounds like in real life.
I'm going to need you to do some kind of special voice.
Okay.
This is also going to be a real challenge for you because, as we've covered in previous episodes, you are illiterate.
I cannot read.
Yes, so this will be watch Johnny triumph over adversity in a very special Talk Dead to Me. Shall we just get into it?
Not before I tell you to please tell your friends about this podcast. Please subscribe and please give us a 5-star review if you feel motivated to do so.
All right, Woody, so let's start it off with Dante. We had a huge cliffhanger last week, and now we get to find out what happened with him. Let's recap it. Let's talk about it.
We start off right from where we left off, and Dante's over the corpse. Rosita walks in the absolute wrong moment, and then she figures it out pretty fast. They get into a whole kerfuffle, and then Dante goes through severe corporal punishment. I mean, this dude gets stabbed. This dude gets punched in the face more often than Ramsay Bolton. Like, I gotta be honest, and here's the question I just wanted to pop off with all of you. Has Dante suffered the most damage of any, like, bad guy? I was trying to think of, like, of previous characters, like Governor got skewered through. Like, some of these folks have just like pretty, more or less like semi-painless deaths. Dante gets the shit kicked out of him.
Good.
He does. He does get super stabbed. I'm trying to think. Governor Michonne did a number on him. Took his eye out. That was pretty brutal.
That was real
Then
bad.
gets stabbed through the chest. Again, I covered this last week, and it's hard to believe, but I have never been murdered, and so it's very hard to know like the pain scale of like getting stabbed through the chest versus multiple stabbies around your body. But Dante's pretty up there. I mean, the Terminus people were like blown up. Gareth had a pretty big death. Dawn, just straight to the dome. You know, there's a lot.
I think we're forgetting a really, really big, like, shitting elephant in the room, and that Negan got his literal throat cut. And I think that in terms of just how severe that injury could have been and what a fuck you it was for it to be like, I'm going to slit your throat. Whoops. Nope. You're going to get life in prison and a slit throat so you can't talk very much. And you get to sit by yourself for years on end where no one comes and talks to you, which I know is your lifeblood. So my vote's for Negan on like worst punishment.
You're putting something out there where you're saying the psychological damage is probably the biggest beatdown in terms of, like, if you're looking at it in terms of aggregate and like the metaphysical, like Negan has suffered more damage than Dante, who just got like the ever-loving shit kicked out of him.
Yeah, and like Dante's wounds would have been repaired without help, I feel like. And also in terms of like what Dante deserved for like related to what the crime he committed, I think he got off easy.
Somebody do the math at home, but Dante gets stabbed upwards of a dozen times.
He poisoned upwards of a dozen people.
Yeah, but they're going to be fine.
Not Carol. Cheryl.
You're right. But Cheryl wasn't poisoned, though, as we go back into it.
She was murdered.
Yeah, this dude deserved to die from the get. First of all, the shitty jokes. Second, the general, like, creep factor. Third, generally, I still ask the question, was this dude a doctor? And
malpractice.
Look, you guys were there. When Gabriel turns into Father Stabby Gabe, I was like, he stabs him the first time while he's in captivity, which is just hella dark. And then I'm like, let's go, 5 more times. And he proceeds to stab him 7 more times.
It was a lot, and
Bonus
it was
stabs.
kind of like a game of Clue. It was like Father Gabriel did it with the knife in a jail cell.
Look, we found the one person in all of Walking Dead history. Oh, no, wait, that's 2 people who don't leave the cell alive. Usually it was just like a turnstile where like it's just a temporary place. Like,
oh yeah, this is going to be a super haunted cell now. We have a Whisperer, Greg. What's his name?
Gary.
Sorry, we're already forgetting about the ones we've
Gary
lost.
the Bread Whisperer.
James Parks.
So Gary and Dante, souls trapped forever in the cell, confirmed. So I get to see these episodes ahead of time sometimes, and I've been waiting for you guys to see this episode because it's so exciting. How surprised were you that it ended up being Gabriel who killed him? Because I think Dante was even saying, like, you know, what are you guys gonna like treat me like Negan, right? Like you're gonna show mercy on me, like, you know, really taunting them.
Turns out.
How surprised were you? How did you guys think that Dante was gonna die? Because you all called it. You're like, Dante's definitely dying this episode. How did you think it was gonna happen, Woody?
I thought we were going to get. I thought Rosita was probably going to be the person to give the coup de grace. But I'll tell you, when Gabriel gives the eulogy, wearing that badass Red Dead Redemption 2 like bounty hunter hat, which I think he's worn before, I was like, oh, evil Gabe is back. Like this man is out for violence. And so at that point, I think the odds skewed a little bit, but I thought it was going to be Rosita.
Okay.
I did not. I don't know that I had a picture of how Dante was going to die in my head. I kind of assumed it would be a revenge anger thing because Alexandria has established that they are not necessarily going to go for corporal punishment at first. There's going to be a whole thing, a whole trial, whatever. I was surprised and delighted that it was Gabe. And I was surprised and delighted that the Gabe who wrestles with his emotions and doesn't know what's going on inside of him and can't predict his own behavior is back, because as much as I like Gabe, like being boss Gabe, that only gets me so far. At some point, that would become too static. So I like that Gabe is now internally at war, at odds with himself again. And I like that as a result of that, he became Stabby Gabe, and he and Rosita made up and are now presumably like a really badass couple. Because it was good to see her like dropping the Spanish and kicking ass again, because we haven't seen that side of her in a while.
And I really love seeing them together at this bonfire at night where they both, I mean, his eye always makes him seem creepy, but he just seems like, if you weren't a fan of them or know that they're the heroes, you would think they're the villains. Like, if you see this, they look like a creepy, like, Manson couple or something.
Anyone having a couple moment in front of a literal pyre is on the road to villainy. Not that I mind.
I wrote in my notes, these people are fucking nightmares.
Yes, it's true. Before we move on to the next story, we did tie up some loose ends, specifically one that you guys were wondering about, who was doing the graffiti. We just figured it was the Hilltop teens who are now 20-somethings, but turned out it was Dante. He was sowing paranoia, and it's brilliant.
I'm pretty sure that I called it in a past episode. I'm not going to go back to reference it, but I'm pretty sure I nailed it and said that it was Dante.
We're going to need one of you guys to go back and reference this and tell us if Woody is wrong, but not if he's right.
There is very clearly no fact checking on Talk Dead to Me, and I like it that way. I also answered the questions of, like, how did he get here? Why were they all of a sudden, like, when they show him like yelling for help and they accept him immediately, I was kind of like, I wrote in my notes, like, I really missed the Rick Grimes questions and the screening. And it turns out, like, I thought they just let him through, but Gabe went through the whole regimen, interviewed him, videotaped it, the whole deal, which I think is partially what leads into the Gabe. I mean, he names it, but like, this was right under my nose. I let this happen. And that kind of helps flip the switch into Stabby Gabe, which is a fun and new version, and long may he reign.
Long
and
may
stab.
he reign.
So now we've killed 2 Whisperers in the span of like 24 hours.
Seriously?
I think Alpha probably figured Dante was going on a suicide mission, knowing that he'd probably get pretty far, but they're going to figure it out and he'll die. But you probably will be legitimately mad about the death of Gary. So anyway, we're going to move on to the next story, which also concerned the Whisperers. It was Aaron got some information from Gamma of where the herd is in exchange to see her nephew Adam, the little baby that was stolen at Hilltop. And so Carol kind of leads them on another, what seems like could have been like wild goose chase. She's like, yes, let's go, like revenge all the way. But she and Daryl were kind of, fighting again. Daryl's like, Daryl said some really poignant stuff this episode. He was saying, you never got off that boat. And, just things that really like got to Carol. Like he's right. She's just motivated by revenge. So what do you guys think else could happen that would cause Daryl to completely lose faith in Carol? Or do you think that's possible? Do you think he's ride or die no matter what?
I don't know, man. I feel like if any one of those people that went on this fool's errand with them to the Cave of Walkers, if any one of those people dies specifically, I would say, like, This is not to be like parentist or childless peopleist, but I could see Daryl being the kind of guy that if Jerry died and left and had kids that no longer had a dad, Daryl being like, this is what you did, and Daryl taking that very personally, having grown up in kind of a broken home. And I'm 50-50 on that. I don't know if Daryl really is ever going to stop trying to make sure Carol's okay.
The composition of this strike team greatly worries me because there are no red shirts in this group, and the people who you would then like kind of like Magnus part of it, Sweet Jerry is part of it, Kelly is part of it.
Ooh, I revised my answer. Connie is part of this. If something happens to Connie, that I think could put a really big wedge between Daryl and Carol.
If Carol torpedoes the USS Donnie, I am gonna be upset.
And also, I've always been a fan of Carol. I think has a really unique story, and she's been through a lot, obviously. But she has, I don't want to say annoyed me, but kind of like perturbed me. That's a synonym. This season, just because of how reckless she's been. And if you see, like this time, when she sees Alpha at first, I thought it was a hallucination.
Oh, man.
But it turns out it's actually Alpha. And if your greatest villain, who owns like a horde of undead zombies, runs into a cave, do not run after her. Try to find maybe the other entrance to the cave. Maybe do literally anything
Throw
else.
a homemade grenade into the cave.
If it was like Carol, Daryl, and then like Marco and the Hilltop teens walking in, I wouldn't be as worried. But Woody, you're completely right. No one here is like a replaceable person. These are all sort of A and B characters. So I am also worried.
The chase sequence with it, to go back to your thing of like throw a homemade grenade, like you mean to tell me Carol doesn't have anything in that satchel where she's loaded for bear, where she doesn't have like a stick of dynamite or something like that, where she's like tossing it in? The madcap dash that like Alpha and Carol went on, like it just speaks to how far Carol has gone at this point, where like everybody kind of Akbar'd out with like it's a trap as soon as she like runs into the forest. It's almost like Benny Hill type music like ensues, and the way that like Alpha has all of these people wrapped around her finger by this point, from like a strategical, tactical like point of view. Like Alpha has won already. The Alexandria has murdered 2 people in captivity within the span of like a day. Like,
yeah,
they are going like they are fractured. They are turning on each other. They're internally sick. Like the human survivor factions are in a very perilous point. And at this point, now that we know the Horde is, I guess the Horde is buried deep within this cave, like they're in a tough spot. If they don't get their shit together real quick, it's curtains for the survivors.
There is one thing I want to mention since we were talking about plot armor. The one person who has a lot of plot armor, but not infinite plot armor in this situation is Carol. And I love Carol, but I said earlier this season, I would not be surprised if this is Carol's kind of swan song story arc. I would hate every second of it because she and Negan have yet to like go out for beers. But that's something I think we should maybe keep an eye on, because I think that it would be extreme. I think that it would be really poetic and sad and beautiful if Carol wound up, saying, all right, you guys, I'm going to get you guys out of here, but I'm finishing this job. I don't have anything left.
I cannot fight the sinking feeling in my stomach that my sweet Jerry is never making it out of that cave.
Oh, and don't say that.
So lucky.
He's marked for death. I don't.
He's too good for this world.
Yeah.
Let's get to our last story here. We got to see some more Oceanside. Michonne finally arrived after being MIA for the last 3 episodes. Alexandra, what happened?
This was like a Mr. Toad's wild ride of excitement. I mean, Judith's day out. It was basically everyone's still heading to Oceanside, and Luke manages to wheedle a trip to the library.
How is he still alive?
I don't know, but I'm
despite
glad
his
he
best
is,
efforts,
because he was hilarious. Yeah, despite his best efforts, because dependably Luke was hilarious every single scene that he was in. I hope we were wrong, and I hope Dan Fogler doesn't wind up leaving the show. I hope it works out with his wizarding schedule, because he's a delight. But anyway, he convinces Michonne to take a little side trip to Waterford so he can go to the library and pick up some books that are absolutely 100% not for Jules.
Groaning sound.
And he kind of uses Judith to do that too. So they go and investigate the library, which is never a freaking good idea. And true to form, there are two very quiet walkers in the library when Luke is looking for a very specific Rachmaninoff piece. They attack. He is saved by a mystery man, whom we later find out is named Virgil, played by Kevin Carroll. And while the mystery man gets away, Michonne finds out that Sadiq is dead, so she's angry. She is done with the side trip. They head to Oceanside. They try to figure out what to do. While they're doing that, Virgil is caught trying to steal a boat. After they treat him horribly, because obviously Michonne has just learned that Sadiq's died, and they had a spy within their midst for months and months and months. She really puts Virgil through his paces. Judith slices up his leg real good, but eventually they come to an agreement when he reveals that, oh, hi, I live on a naval base where there are weapons. Virgil reveals that he lives on this island called Bloodsworth Island, actual island, I think in Chesapeake Bay. It's off the coast of Maryland. And eventually Michonne decides that she's going to give Virgil a boat, and in exchange for the damage that he caused, he's going to give them weapons, which I think is kind of a crap deal, but he doesn't have any other options. So at the end of the episode, Michonne sits Judith down and says, listen, I got to go on this mission, and this is one that you absolutely cannot come with me on. And Judith is, very sober because she's perfect and will never do anything wrong. Says, okay. And with that, Michonne and Virgil set sail, as it were, to Bloodsworth Island. And basically what we're looking at now is mid-season finale. Michonne is going to get her own nuke. And kind of just what we talked about with Alpha, it's interesting to me that effectively they really, really need this because Alpha has been running them since day one of this thing. So do you guys think that if Michonne comes back with nothing, the survivors have a chance? Or do you think this is going to be the key to them winning this war, what she finds on that island?
I think it would just be funny if they arrive at this naval base and it's just 24 rusty mines and a couple swords, and they're like, yeah, no, but this has gotten us by for this long. Conversely, if she suddenly found an Apache attack helicopter, oh my God, I would love, nothing would delight me more than seeing Michonne in the gunner seat. Or they get to the naval base and they see a bunch of helicopters that have the stencil of the people who took Rick, and you get some sort of connection to that thing.
Yeah.
It is interesting because we do know that she's leaving sometime this season. So, you wonder if she's going to come back. If she does, gives them weapons and then leaves again, or maybe even gets killed off somehow, delivering the weapons. There's a lot of things that can happen. I think it was a very risky move for Michonne. And, I'm worried for her. And a lot of people are making spontaneous decisions. I thought there was a whole council, but they're like, oh, let's go find this herd. Oh, let's go to this island with this guy I just met who seems nice because he got a book. I mean,
those are the privileges you get for being an A character, Johnny. You get to just active your own agency and then say, fuck the rules.
Yeah, well, we made it 8 episodes, and we still haven't seen that moment from the trailer from San Diego where she is holding Lucille. So maybe Lucille's there. Maybe they have all the weapons. maybe they have all the weapons from all the previous villains, and she just brings them all.
Maybe it's actually Asgard.
It's like Metal Gear 5 where you just Fulton off a piece of equipment, a balloon pops up, and it just suddenly shows up at Mother Base.
Yeah, and this was another moment when they were confronting Virgil the second time, and Judith slashes his ankle, and Michonne comes running and is like, "Good job, Judith." And I'm just like, Jesus Christ! He's probably holy crap! Are these cannibals? What have I stumbled into? I literally was trying to get a book at a library, and now this 8-year-old has a giant sword pointed at me.
I thought that too for a second, but then I was like, this guy tried to basically steal a car. He tried to come into someone's community, steal a car, damaged it, got caught, the car that is used to get food for lots of people, and he did it to a tribe of Amazons. So at first I was like, geez, this is really harsh, but now that we're saying it and I'm playing it back in my head, I'm like, I think he kind of got off easy.
On to our next segment where we get a little spicy. This is Shot Takes. Great. All right, Woody, you have a shot take on the geographical locations of these places.
I've got a new one, Johnny, that I've just come up with, and this is a spicy shot take. My original one was this show needs a map. Give me logic. Tell me where Oceanside is compared to everywhere else, because honestly, like, you're playing fast and loose with your fast travel, and I don't buy it. But here's my shot take, and no one's gonna like it. It's real bad. Kill Judith.
Whoa.
Here's the thing.
What?
This
is the shottest take we've had.
Because she is flaunting her plot armor at this point. Here are the numerous things that she would do that would kill any other child in The Walking Dead. She hangs out with the mysterious guy who might possibly be evil without anybody else around. She confronts that person in the middle of a battle. She gets separated from the rest of the group as like a zombie thing happens. Like, she has tempted fate so many times. And then she goes and tells us that she's writing the book when they're on their way to the library, where she essentially does the whole Sam thing of like, it's a book called, she doesn't name it, but like, she might as well have been like, it's called A Song of Ice and Fire, or like, I'm calling it The Walking Dead. Like, because we know in the comics by the end of it that somebody has written down the history of all this stuff and Carl is reading it. And honestly, it seems so obvious that Judith will be the person who like documents all of these things and their trials and tribulations, their adventure. Just really tell us that no one is safe and then murder Judith. I don't want that to happen, but that would be such a way to be like, there are no rules. You have no idea what's going to happen next.
Would you be more devastated by the death of Judith or the death of Baby Yoda from The Mandalorian?
If anything happens to Baby Yoda, I'm burning down the Skybound office.
I don't know why we have to go down with you.
You know what you did.
Okay.
You were complicit.
All right.
I don't know. Do you guys think that Judith is getting set up to sort of play the Carl role in the comics of being the person who survives and kind of surveys? Yeah.
100%. And Chandler Riggs, go back to that episode and listen to it. He kind of agrees. He thinks that Judith will probably pick it up. He says the showrunners will probably change things around, but he can totally see Judith as the one who kind of last woman standing.
Also, Woody, if Judith dies, then we will never get a scene of Negan comforting her when she realizes her mom is never coming back.
Look, again, I don't want this to happen. I'm just saying do it so that we know like anything is possible.
You don't want it, but you're literally ordering it.
And honestly, guys...
Do it, you cowards, but don't you touch my sweet Jerry.
And honestly, guys, who has a better story than Judith Grimes?
Who has more parents than Judith Grimes?
Who has more inexplicably powerful abilities than Judith Grimes?
I mean, if that would be cool if Judith is the one who ends up being the last woman standing, because we've been talking about Judith since season 1. Like, Lori finds out she's pregnant, tells Rick. Shane even knew about her. So,
yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. That would be awesome if she survived through all of this.
I was just thinking the other day when we were watching the episode how much Kaylee Fleming looks like Lori. I don't know if it's just me, but she really does have kind of a similar facial structure. And it's kind of a beautiful, I don't know, it's that I like remembering the like the erstwhile characters, because once a show gets so old, it sort of feels like it's almost a different show as the longer it's on. And that was a nice kind of mental callback, I guess.
That would be kind of hilarious if like she did die and then like, you know, Daryl is having like these phantom conversations with her over the phone and she's like in a little sheet and
oh, man.
Yeah, let's maybe not.
I'm sorry that I even brought this one up. It took us to a dark place, and I know that there is not a single person listening to that. We probably lost subscribers and followers to that shot take.
We're about to lose some more to mine.
Sorry that I'm speaking truth to power.
We have another hot take. I don't know if it can beat child murder, but Alexandra, why don't you try?
I'm going to try and come close. Okay, so my shot take, you kind of alluded to it earlier in our discussion, in our recap, is that I think we have just seen Michonne and Judith together on screen for the last time in a long time.
So many sad Judith takes.
I know.
Wait, did you just say last time in a long time?
The last time for a long time. So basically what I'm trying to say is I think Michonne getting to this island by herself on a mission, an island where there's a naval base and lots of potentially military equipment. I think this is a perfect setup for her to get to this base, maybe send some weapons back with Virgil, but I kind of feel like she's going to see something there. Once she's on that base, she's going to find out that Rick is alive. Because I think the only thing that takes her away from Judith that doesn't kill her, and I don't think she's going to die, I think the only thing that takes her away from Judith is finding out that A, Rick is alive, and B, that he could be captive somewhere and that she needs to get him. I think that she might eventually regret that decision and like, maybe I shouldn't have abandoned my kid. But I think emotionally in that moment, she would be like, okay, I have to go on this mission. Maybe radio Judith and be like, I love you, honey. This has got to happen. You deserve 2 parents, as I leave you with none. And also the conversation that she had with Judith seemed like you're a big girl now, I gotta go. So poignant and sort of sad in hindsight. And I don't know, it just seems to me that like she's gonna drop that Rick died or whatever, or somehow this guy's gonna be like, occasionally these helicopter people come and they had 2 people and described Jadis and Rick, and the one guy was wounded or something.
They keep calling us A's and B's. I mean, we don't like them very much, but they pay okay.
Yeah, like I feel like that seems like the rightest explanation for her exit that I've been able to speculate since we started watching this season, and now I really want to see it. Now I'm excited to see Michonne learn that Rick's alive.
All right, so now that brings us to our next segment, Ship Watch. All right, so for Ship Watch, this is when we kind of discuss the latest friendships, relationship developments in The Walking Dead. I'll start it off. I think that Donnie, alive and well, that is Daryl and Connie, obviously. We didn't get much of them this episode, but the little we did get was enough to fill our hearts. While they're on their way to the Horde, Connie shows Daryl, her little notepad, how she communicates to him sometimes, and it says, anything for us, with us underlined.
Ding, 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 us.
Yeah, so I think he's like, well, Carol's crazy, but at least Connie's here, so that's nice.
Do you think that that Connie writes those herself, or do you think that somebody from set or art department writes those down?
Oh, kind of like in Friends where they had like someone from, like the sound guy was doing the dry erase board every time?
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's very scripted.
I don't know. I think like if she wants to be like part of that and write it, we see her write on screen all the time. So I'm gonna throw all my eggs in the basket of Lauren Ridloff writes her own cute notes.
We better get an answer to this before the end of the season. We're gonna find it out. Let's do it. Let's get an answer.
Anyway, so that relationship is alive and well. Alexandra, there's also another relationship that not so alive and well, but at least they get to reunite.
Dying a really slow death is Carol and Ezekiel.
Ezekiel has literal cancer.
I know. That's not going to help their relationship.
Oh my god.
I mean, it might. You never know if she comes back from all of this and she's like, oh, then I will pity you and see you through to the end of your days.
Well, he needs to tell her that he has cancer first, and they don't live in the same town. God knows how far away Alexandria and the Hilltop are.
Yeah.
We talked about it a little bit too. I think you did in your recap, Johnny, where that Ezekiel is kind of standoffish at this point to Carol. I think in part because if they actually hug, she's going to feel the baseball on his collarbone. But the minute that he's kind of standoffish, she actually comes up to him and like tries to spark a conversation. It's the most kind of focus and interest she's given him all season. And then he kind of takes that and he's like, do you need some help on the mission? And she's like, no.
Immediate no.
I'm just being nice.
A
God.
rapid fire no. No, we're good. Thank you so much.
I have set these boundaries. Please respect them.
But it's a horde of thousands or hundreds of thousands. You sure you couldn't use one more pair of hands and the horses are already gone?
Yeah. It's brutal. And honestly, given the danger that Carol is in, I don't really think that she's going to die, but I think there's a chance. And given the fact that, there's no chemotherapy in the apocalypse or no more doctors either, I don't think Ezekiel is going to necessarily make it through the season, and I think that might have just been their last. I think that this might have been the last. I know I'm a broken record this episode, but I think this might have been the last time that they see each other, which would be really, really sad if Carol kills Alpha or something and then comes back to find out that Ezekiel has died.
I disagree. I think they'll see each other one more time.
I hope so.
But if Ezekiel had gone with them, I'd be like, that dude's marked for death. Ezekiel would like nothing more than to sacrifice himself heroically to get people out of that cave.
I know what happened, so no comment. All right, our guest this week is one of my favorite people on YouTube. We use her hilarious reaction videos in our Walking Dead compilations, and today we'll learn about the woman behind the hilarity, Michonne Livingston. Michonne, how are you doing today?
I am great.
I'm so glad to hear that.
I am great.
When I first came across your YouTube channel and I saw Machond, I thought that it was just a play on Michonne, but that's your real name.
Yes, my name is Machond, Machond.
That is awesome. What does it mean?
Machond is actually my father's middle name.
Interesting.
Yes, it actually is.
That's rare to get the father's middle name as the daughter's first name, but I think it works.
I know, right? I have been called Michonne before, which I obviously did not take offense to because
she's
of
a
Denai.
queen.
When I started watching Walking Dead, I was like, Her name is Michonne. I love that for me.
All right. Tell the people who don't know you and may have just seen your videos where you're from and what you do.
Well, my name is Michonne Livingston. I am 23, going to be 24 years old in 42 days. And I am from Chicago,
That's
Illinois.
awesome. How is the weather there? I have a brother who lives in Chicago, and it is always so cold.
I know. That's why I'm moving to LA. I hate it here. But the thing is every season that we have, it's to the extreme. When it's summer, it's almost 100 degrees outside, but it's such a short window. And the other 2/3 of the year, it's freezing. Like, we didn't even get a fall. It was fall for a week, and then everything froze, and it started snowing. And now it wants to act like it's fall these last few days. So, I don't know what's going on.
It was,
Typical.
wasn't it last year that it was like negative 30 degrees and stuff? Like, it was like unbearably cold. How many like covers and blankets do you have to put on? Or do you just like crank the heat? Like, how do you survive that?
You literally put the central heat in the house, you put that on 80 degrees, and you live in front of the space heater in your room. This year, January 2nd, when I turned 23, it was negative 12 outside. People were like, what are you doing? Nothing. It's freezing.
So you probably have like a slight idea of like what you would do if an apocalypse were to pop off, because I feel like in those situations, you have to kind of be semi-aware of survival tactics.
Yes, you really have to be in tune with Earth, because Earth will always prevail. You have to know how to deal with every season.
That's true. Some of your first videos were from a year ago. Is that when you started on YouTube?
So that YouTube channel, yes. I had another one that I did for like a year that was all like my food related stuff, but I just moved everything to a new channel because I wanted to change the name. But I started watching Walking Dead. I was late to the party because I don't watch TV. So I started watching Walking Dead season 5. I don't remember what episode, but I just remember still my favorite squad of all time with Abraham, Sasha, Glenn, Maggie, Rick, the whole squad in season 5. And I would see my little brother watching it. And I'm like, that looks so good. What is that? So when I started watching with him during season 5, he was like, you have to go back. You can't just start at season 5. So once I went back, I said, ooh. This hit different. This is like nothing I've ever seen. Yeah.
What inspired you to make YouTube videos of you reacting to it?
Really, as a member of the internet, just like a lot of people, I love being on the internet and I love consuming it and creating. And me watching Walking Dead, I talk to the TV so much, and things that I'm into, I'm so into it. I thought about it for a while, like, I should really put up reactions, but I was like, I don't know. But what really did it to me was, oh my goodness, 616 and 7-1. Oh, after that, I was sobbing, bawling my eyes out. I wish I would have had that reaction on camera for me. So Glenn was just the last straw. It really was Glenn that did it.
I know. I look back at those React compilations sometimes, and I wish that you were a part of them, but we're so glad to have you now. It seems like it's kind of like the professional version of when someone says something funny while they're watching a show or movie. Like, are you the funny friend, like when you're watching a show or movie that like says something and everyone laughs?
I really am the funny friend. People, when they're around me, they love being around me.
Judging by your YouTube channel, a lot of it, Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead, but it looks like you're really into Justin Bieber, which surprised me. So please tell me about this lovely obsession of yours.
I am an OG believer, and it's crazy how I found out about him. My little cousin in 2008 would always play me his music. I'm talking about, this is before One Time. This is before My World. And I'm like, who is this? And then he would be on the news a lot. And it's like, oh, Justin Bieber, Justin Bieber, Justin Bieber, Justin Bieber. And what I love about being a believer for so long is he is the reason that I am even in the internet space, why I'm a stan, why I'm a fangirl, why I'm in this space anyway. That's been over 10 years. So I really do thank him for that, because the world that it introduced me to and fandoms and all of that, you build relationships that you just can't get anywhere else. And I really thank him for that. I love that man.
How do your friends and family react to what you do online?
Well, my grandma doesn't understand it. She's like, okay, you watch Dead. Okay. My mother doesn't care. My brother, and people like my family members that are close to my age, like my brother, my cousins, my friends, they're all for it. They think it's hilarious, because it's at the end of the day, it's me in my room in my pajamas watching my favorite show. They're like, that is just so you.
That's great. And you said you don't watch a lot of TV. What other shows do you watch, if any?
Really nothing. Just the stuff that I grew up on that I watched, like Disney Channel, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, love me some SpongeBob, Food Network, Animal Planet. But yeah, that's really about it. I haven't watched TV in a long time. That's why I really know Walking Dead hit different.
All right. Well, then what are your favorite YouTube channels?
I watch a lot of farmers on YouTube because in the future I am going to be a farmer. Yes. Farther down the line, I am going to be a homesteading YouTube channel. It's going to happen. I already have a seed collection.
So you really are prepared for the apocalypse. I mean, you know what to do if it's like really cold. You can store supplies. You know how to, conserve resources. And now soon you'll learn how to farm. You're basically going to be like Herschel.
Yeah, that's another reason why I love Jeffrey so much, because he has an entire farm in upstate New York. And when he posts his animals, it warms my heart.
Right? And you were also talking about your love for cooking. And I know you have a website, madebymachond.com, where you sell like brownie bites and granola and delicious things like that. What got you involved in doing that?
Well, I've been cooking my whole entire life ever since I could see over a stove. And I am a professionally trained chef. I went to Washburn Culinary and Hospitality Institute in Chicago, Illinois. Yes. And I love feeding people. I really do. I love feeding people. And ever since I've been vegan the last 4 years, I've went into an entire different world and explored foods that I'd never had before.
What inspired you to go vegan?
One of my close friends, she was like a longtime vegetarian and she's allergic to dairy. And one day she was just like, I'm going to go vegan. And I was like, ooh, what is this? I mean, I was 19 years old. I grew up on a standard American diet, eating McDonald's and hot dogs like everybody else. And then when that came to me, I was like, I might could get into this. And I did a lot of research and I went vegan a week after her. And I've just been vegan ever since.
What's the most delicious vegan dish you can cook?
Any and everything in the world.
Okay.
But I would say 3 things. Okay, one thing, smoothies. People think that it's so easy to make a good smoothie, but I have traveled this country and to this day, I have not had a smoothie that's better than any smoothie that I've made. Delicious, like thick, like shakes. Oh, so good.
Give us some ingredients.
I make great smoothies. To make a good smoothie, all of the fruit has to be frozen, first of all. The fruit has to be frozen. You can make a smoothie with fresh bananas and fresh strawberries, and it'll taste completely different than frozen strawberries and frozen bananas. And it has to be organic because they're sweeter. Yes, it's just the chef in me comes out and I play with all of these textures and flavors. And I get to add in a little bit of spices, vanilla. I really do craft smoothies.
So when you're not making YouTube videos, you are doing chef stuff?
Yeah, I do cater for people.
That's awesome.
I do a lot of, like if people have birthday parties, baby showers, things like that, I do catering and things like that.
So you're an entrepreneur. I'm
really working on it because the whole working in somebody else's restaurant, slaving my life away for the rest of my life is not the move,
Wow,
sir.
Yeah. We're going to do some Walking Dead rapid fire questions, get your takes on some things.
Yes.
Love it or leave it, the Carol ship.
I have never shipped Carol and Daryl as anything other than best friends. Let's please keep their relationship platonic, please.
I am fine with that. And what about Daryl and Connie, a.k.a. Donnie?
I absolutely positively need them to get married and have children.
Some people, obviously Judith has been, I'm so glad that they did a time jump and we have like a Judith that actually talks and says things and does things. Some people criticize it for maybe she's like a little too perfect, like maybe she's already like too put together. Do you think she still has room to evolve as a character?
Yes, she has room to evolve. She's literally like 10.
That's what I'm saying. But some people are like, she's like this perfect finished product. She says the right thing. She does the right thing. She's like a badass. Like, where does she go from here?
You have to remember, Judith has been with us the entire apocalypse, but she was a child. But she is Rick Grimes and Michonne's child. She was raised by them. Those are great parents. Michonne made sure she was raising a great little girl, and she did a great job. So, of course, she'd be like that. She has the best qualities of Carl, Rick, Michonne, just everybody around her.
And Uncle Daryl, and, you got the whole crew. I mean, yeah, no wonder she's so great. I guess that makes sense.
Exactly.
What's been your favorite season of The Walking Dead?
Season 5.
That's the first one you kind of saw before you went back.
I would say the squad was in season 5. We had Abraham and Glenn and Mac. We had Sasha. We had everybody in season 5. That group was divine. Other than season 5, I loved Herschel's farm. Even though we lost Sophia, but yeah, I love the farm.
We did lose Sophia. That was sad. How do you think Michonne is gonna? Because we know she's gonna leave this season. How do you think she's gonna go out?
Well, I know she's not gonna be murdered. I think she's going to leave on the boat.
Yep.
With that black man that her and Judith saw. I don't know. I've been trying to figure this out. What would have to happen for Michonne to leave her children? What would have to happen? So I don't know. Maybe somebody's like, hey, I know where Ricky is, and she got on the boat and left. I don't know.
You might be onto something there. We don't know. Well, I know, but who knows? What's been the most shocking death for you in the series?
Well, I'm still grieving Glenn's death, but we're not going to talk about that. Just because it happened in the comics and it was talked about so much, that's the reason why it's not the most shocking to me. I would have to say Carl. Carl was my child.
If you could bring back one character, who would you bring back?
It would be Glenn,
Easy.
Period. There will never be another Glenn Rhee.
Do you think that Negan was justified? Because a lot of people, now I'm not saying that Glenn's death should have happened, okay? I just want to put that out there. I'm just saying, before the lineup, where Negan only killed 2 people, our crew came into his facility and murdered, 30 people in their sleep. Really brutal.
Wait, now before we get to Glenn, Johnny, we have to talk about this. I would say that when they killed all the Saviors at that outpost, that is the one time that I would say our people are out of line, because they knew the Saviors were bad guys, blah, blah, blah. We're going to go murder them before they get to us. Okay, they were out of line. But let's not act like Negan didn't lead a dictatorship, please. He was twisted. He threw a doctor into a fire because he thought he set one of his wives free. Let's not forget about that.
You're right. What would be your weapon of choice in a zombie apocalypse?
That's hard. Because you would want something that's heavy duty that wouldn't fall apart, but something that's also not heavy. Right. Let's just say katana. Let's just do Michonne.
Very on brand. I love it.
And I have locks. Let's just take it all the way there.
Now, this will air after 10:08 happens, which you have not seen, but that's okay. So we'll find out what happens right in the aftermath of Siddiq's death, R.I.P. But what would you do if you were, say, Rosita or someone else who walked in on this, Dante maybe standing over Siddiq's body or some kind of scenario like that? Like, if you're running Alexandria, do you kill him on the spot? Do you give him a trial?
Dante is not getting a trial at all. And one thing I didn't understand why Dante killed Siddiq. Okay, Siddiq was not sick, so no one's going to assume that he died of the sickness that everyone has. And Rosita can literally hear him coming back as a walker, and you're standing at the door sweating, talking about how we were just making hot love. What? Like, all eyes are going to turn towards you, and you're supposed to be the Whisperer spy. So, I don't know where he was going with that.
I think it's just that the jig was up and that he knew that Siddiq knew. And if Siddiq knew, he's going to, kill him or put him on trial or lock him up for 7 years or whatever it is. So I think he's like, well, he knows, so I got to kill him. But you'll see on that's sad.
Someone had commented on my video because I was like, what is his point? Because he's 9 times out of 10 going to be killed now. And someone was like, Michonne, you have to remember the Whisperers don't fear death. And I was like, yeah, you're right. They don't give a fuck about nothing.
And
so
Alpha won't care if Dante dies because Alpha sent him on a suicide mission, basically. He's like, I need you to go in there and, do your thing. And, you'll see what happens. It's great. But we talked about Glenn. And obviously, you can really never get over a TV death like that. But have you forgiven Negan since then? Because a lot of time has passed. And even though he's kind of joined up with the Whisperers, he's done a lot to redeem himself. Where do you stand on Negan today?
I love Jeffrey so much. And his portrayal of Negan is absolutely everything. It's everything. And as much as I'm grieving Glenn's death, I can honestly say that I do forgive him because as twisted as it was, and he murdered Glenn and then wanted to make Maggie one of his wives, you have to remember he didn't know Glenn. He had zero attachment to the man. So it was nothing to him to kill him in the first place.
Right.
And I know he felt bad for doing that, but I can say that all is forgiven.
Wow. And what do you think's going to happen with, his new group with the Whisperers?
He is not 100% a Whisperer. He is bullshitting them. 100%. Negan kneeling to someone else. Yeah, Negan is 100% doing that for the greater good. He's not really
So
a
he's
Whisperer.
a mole and he's infiltrating the Whisperers.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that is what happened in the comics.
Beta sees right through him because at the end of the day, nobody's more dedicated than Beta.
You're right. Who do you think let him out of his cell?
I don't know, but I think Daryl knows who did it. Because when Lydia said, I let Negan out, he was like, no, you didn't. I was watching all night.
Last question. What are your predictions for the second half of season 10?
My prediction for the second half of season 10 is Dante's dead. can they please kill Father Gabriel because I can't with that man. See, it's so hard for me to make predictions for Walking Dead because literally anything can happen. Some things are going to happen with Carol and Daryl's relationship. I don't know what, but I'm interested to see because we're seeing some things that we've never seen. And Melissa was like, I'm doing some things I've never done. I would love to see that. I don't know. One of my predictions is that Alpha is not going to die.
Oh, interesting.
This season. Yes. Look how long it took to kill the governor. Come on. Samantha's too good. We can't kill her off that fast. Her and Negan are the only villains I've ever wanted to stay around. She's too good.
Yep. Are you going to be watching the third Walking Dead series?
Of course I'm going to be watching it.
Great.
The Walking Dead is the greatest TV show of all time. I'm all for extending the
wow.
universe.
You heard it here first, folks.
It makes me feel the full spectrum of human emotions. I don't know anything else I can watch that makes me feel all of the feels.
All of the feels. Well, great. That's a great place to end. Thank you so much, Michonne, for coming in. Please tell the people where they can watch you, subscribe to you, follow you on social media, all that.
Yes, Machond is here. My YouTube channel is Machond. Twitter and Instagram made by Machond. My other Instagram is Life of Machond. Website is madebymachond.com, and I'll be doing all of the things.
All of the things. You heard it here first, folks.
So much more good stuff to come.
Michonne, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it and look forward to seeing how you react to 1008. Obviously, it's already aired, but the compilation won't be out yet, so look forward to that, everyone. Check those out and check out her channel. She's hilarious.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, and one day I'm going to cook for you in the cast. It's going to happen. I'm putting that energy out
hell
there.
Yeah. I'm down. Please. Thanks, Michonne. Have a good one.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm looking forward to that compilation.
Hey.
All right, on to our next segment. It's Woody's favorite. It is voicemails.
Yes!
Woo! All right, so this week we asked what you think caused. This week we asked, what do you think caused the Walker virus? And we got a few clues in season 1 with Edwin Jenner at the CDC, but we never got a full answer. Probably never will, but that doesn't stop us from asking you guys. If you guys want to answer future questions, call into our voicemail line. It's not scary. It's very easy to do. 213-536-1275. I will have that committed to memory. Never. On to our first answer. How do you think the virus started? This is Brian.
Yeah, good day. First name Brian, Cape Coral, Florida. And the cause of the zombie virus was the Soviets messing around with the fungus of Ophelia cordyceps unilateralis, as well as messing around with the rabies virus.
All right, I would like to thank the character Eugene for calling in to our voicemail line. That was very scientific. I'm kidding. Brian, that was very, very well thought out. We thought people were going to take this completely not seriously. And
no, I thought they'd double down with seriousness. This is I thought we'd get this.
No, yeah, I'm kidding. Brian, that was amazing. That was a really well thought out answer.
Well researched.
And I feel like you might know something. Because you had a little too many details.
I am frightened that this now seems way more possible than I ever thought it was.
Oh, my dude Brian has played some Last of Us. The virus that he mentions, it's part of the one that like infects ants that will make them like chomp on a leaf and then like grows out of them.
Oh, interesting.
And, that's part of the virus fungus thing that is part of the kickoff of the apocalypse for Last of Us.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
In Sunday school, if you didn't know an answer, you would just say Jesus. And I think in real life, if you don't know the answer, you could just say the Soviets, like when you're looking for blame. So I think he's spot on.
But what a world he built, though. Like he really
he's
citing sources. He's telling you about an ancient evil, and now it's getting into the Soviets. Like Brian just pitched the beginning of a document here that I think there's legs.
Yes. All right. Our next one is a returning guest. No, don't. God damn it, guys. All right. On to our next guest, Sarah.
Hey, guys. It's Sarah Large, or Mama Dad Head again. So, what do I think caused the Walker virus? I think most likely it was a lab experiment gone wrong. I think that they were probably trying to find a cure for something like rabies, which the walkers kind of act rabid, and maybe it accidentally fell into a petri dish of bubonic plague, or something insane. It got mixed, and since it was in such a controlled environment, it didn't present in the same way as, a normal, outward thing like the Black Death or rabies would. They didn't think it was a big deal. They, eradicated it, set it on fire in the CDC, thought it was nothing, but it turns out it actually did infect everyone. They just didn't know until people started passing away. Thanks for listening. Bye, guys.
I think there's one thing we really can say is certain, even if Robert never gives us, which I pretty likely won't, any real explanation as to why the virus happened. I think the one thing we can say is that it was definitely airborne. There's no way you get a global pandemic of this scale unless it's airborne that quickly. Because if you look at fear, this whole thing happens in a couple of weeks, as explained by that really friendly kid who was raiding, that intelligent kid who was raiding the school cafeteria. He's like, when civilization falls, it happens quickly. This really was a matter of weeks before everything broke down because there were that many people infected. So
I just like that Sarah imagined a world where a very unfortunate Rube Goldberg machine of diseases and all-star pathogens have just come together into one accidental supervirus. It's what a whimsical way for us all to get wiped out.
All right, so our last one is a text message. I didn't even know you could text message our voicemail line, but it happened, and I'm going to read that off right now. This is from Nicholas from Idaho Falls. My best guess to what caused the Walker virus has to be airborne first. Second, I believe the Walker virus was maybe a virus the CDC or WHO accidentally created when they were making what they thought would be a vaccine of some type of disease or virus that could have honestly made it to human trials because you never see an animal that is turned. True. So it would be possible it made it to human trials, and then in turn, when interacted with humans, it caused a severe illness with the fever and whatnot that eventually killed the person and reanimated their brain a short time after. Thus, the Walker virus became airborne, and everyone in human trials across the country turned, and the world is now a world of walkers.
I like the fact that he pointed out that we've never seen an animal. Animals are clearly not susceptible to the virus, and I think that's a really interesting angle to take on it.
Shiva eats walkers wholesale, and Shiva is not a zombie tiger, though amazing.
Oh, zombie tiger would be great. I've actually gone through a lot of human trials, and unfortunately they wipe my memory after each one, so I have no further information.
But you do have a third arm that sometimes just pops out of your back.
All right, guys, that wraps up another...
Wait. No, why did they get to have all the fun? Can we just really briefly put out how we think the zombie apocalypse happened?
Oh, sure.
I'll go first. It's a video game. All of these characters are living within a simulation, and the newest patch for Earth Point 6 was we're just going to do the zombie thing now, and all these characters have been living out a sort of DayZ open world survival type game.
Westworld?
Yes.
Since the apocalypse happened around 2010, vaping wasn't a thing yet, but I think they were working on it, and I think they effed something up, and I agree with the airborne thing. How else would it get everywhere? But it would be interesting if there's a remote island somewhere where it just didn't hit, or there is a group who, doomsday preppers who are underground who die and don't reanimate. I'd love to see that someday.
Oprah's South Pacific Island is totally shielded.
Yeah, she's fine.
Yeah.
You guys are both wrong.
Oh,
okay. Well,
this is clearly the work of a conspiracy of vampires who have been lying in wait, trying to develop a way to just get rid of the human race wholesale in a matter of months and turn them into something that they can control that will eventually just kill off any of the survivors, making the world a playground, if you will, for vampires to rule.
And on that note, that wraps up another episode of Talk Dead to Me. Just because the show's going on hiatus doesn't mean we're going on hiatus. Until the show comes back, we will still be doing weekly shows. They will be a little bit shorter, but we're going to have a lot of amazing guests, starting with Juan Javier Cardenas, who played Dante. He's coming on next week. And Alexandra is going to take a quick break. So we're going to have guest host Chelsea Cook from FBE. She did some of our red carpet coverage. It's very exciting stuff coming up, guys.
Wait, we're not taking weeks off?
Oh, sorry. No, there's no weeks. Yes, Alexandra has taken a few weeks off.
What?
Yes, it's just going to be me and you.
What?
And maybe a guest host, and then Dante.
We have to work all through the holidays?
Yes, don't drink anything that Juan gives you.
What? Oh, man.
Did you have plans?
I had so many plans. I had things to do. I have family members. I have obligations.
Well, sorry.
Oh, the things we give for this audience.
Well, I hope you guys enjoy it. Stay tuned for next week. It's going to be a huge episode. Very excited. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You guys really, it means a lot to us. We see the numbers growing. We see you guys responding on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. So thank you guys so much for all the support.
Happy birthday, Nate.
Happy birthday, Nate.
Nate, happy fucking birthday.
Always.
By the way, how weird was it that Gamma turns out that her name is Mary? Did she look like a Mary to you?
She doesn't look like a Mary. No.
I had her as a Gladys.
A
I mean,
Gladys.
the only people that look like Marys are like literally pictures of the Virgin Mary to me. I was raised Catholic, and it's just in there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My Aunt Mary does not look like a Mary.
She's kind of, yeah.
She looks more like, she honestly kind of looks like a Maggie.
I could
If we
see
didn't
it.
already have a Maggie.
Couldn't do that.
I could see more of like a Stephanie could also be in there.
She looks more of like a
Elisa?
Rhiannon.
Oh, yeah, no. See, that's your ginger bias coming out there.
Yeah.
I'm not a ginger.
But you're biased against the gingers.
Or
Anyone
towards
with
the
an
gingers.
accent or, what is it?